Okay, so my son left. Uh, it's Sunday. My son left. His grandfather came and picked him up because he has a wrestling tournament up in the city today. So his grandfather's going to take him to that. I didn't talk to him at all about anything. You know, he kept on trying to bring some things up, and I was just like, I just told him, see, this is what I always told him, like, years ago, he was all on the Trump train and everything. And I was just like, Aiden, because he brings things up. We're like, oh, okay, well, that's a good thing. But what about this? So what I do with my kids is I just try to get them to believe in themselves. Like anything, that's how I've always been. Like everybody's so full of fucking shit. And to think for themselves. So, I don't push my kids down any fucking path one way or another in regards to any kind of special interest bullshit. And then, when that whole thing with Andrew Tate happened, I said, look, man, if you're going to sit there and listen to all these goddamn celebrities and these, all these people, I mean, that's just, it's just a circus. So he ended up understanding that, So that's where he's at. And what is going on with him is he's just overwhelmed. He's trying to keep up with these sports. I guess he has a girlfriend. His brother had told me he had a girlfriend, but I had forgotten and he didn't mention it. But yeah, so I suppose he has a girlfriend now. And yeah, he's 14. He's tired all the time. His mom just put him on a toxic medication, and then she switched his medication. I mean, so God knows what's going on with that. So, what I'm trying to say is there's so much going on, plus his face is stuck in the phone, and he's had these sinus issues for like the past 8 days, all these things, man, that just nobody cares about. Everybody just like, okay, well, doctor said, give him medicine. Yep, doctor said give him this medicine, give him this medicine. And people just blindly follow and go along, man. This is disgusting, man. And it's just ignorance. It's just these people running on programs and they don't even realize how, I don't know what his mom's deal is, God only knows. Like I said, I mean, she's probably making him pay for being born. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is just disgusting to me. But his grandfather, I guess, just willful ignorance, just blind ignorance, just being on the program, just following along with the fucking narrative, with the groupthink, with the, just blindly. It's sickening, dude. It's sickening. But so the biggest thing with my son is just, I wanted to just keep him relaxed. So we only got a little over a day together, a day and a half together. So yesterday we ended up playing first we went on a hike. We had dinner. We played some board games, talked a little bit, but again, just the talking was just, he was telling me stories, just telling me stories, and I was listening. But I wasn't, and then like I said, when he would try to go into things, he wanted to watch the videos. I was like, nah, man, because that's what I'm trying to say. Like, so biologically, the way we are built biologically, right now, the worst thing for my son is to have conflicting views. Like very strong conflicting, like emotional viewpoints, right? That'd be the worst thing for him. So my advice to him was, and this video is just to give an update on what's going on because, I'm trying to keep an update on this. I blanked out. It's a lot, man. He's under a lot of stress. I mean, school, wrestling, the sports, the working out. He hangs out with so many different friend groups of people. So he's constantly, occupied with friend groups. And when he's not, and he's at home, he's being stressed out. He's being emotionally stressed by his mother. And she's having something's going on with her. She's having emotional issues. I don't know what's going on. She's having issues. And she is bringing it out on him, is what it sounds like. From what he's telling me is exactly what it sounds like. And so that's emotional abuse. Period. Because he's told me story after story of, it's just, she won't listen to me. It's just all about her. It's just, she's crying. She's having all these emotions. Then she's yelling at me for things that she does, for the same things that she does. So it's piss poor parenting. It's lazy, piss poor parenting is what it is. And she's using him as an emotional outlet. It's emotional abuse. So I explained to him yesterday, and I did not get worked up at all with him yesterday. Again, I was just, I was avoiding and just keeping things very calm and light. And I just told him, I said, dude, that is serious. If you feel like you're being emotionally abused by your mom, I said, yes, you're telling me, but we need to let another adult know, so you need to let Bubby know. Because he has this plan worked out in his head, sort of, but it's all up in the air. I mean, he's a 14-year-old kid, So, anyways, the worst thing for him, biologically, that's what I was talking about. So biologically, just the way we work biologically, like our brains and how that interacts with our thoughts, is the worst thing for him right now is to have like a huge, like for me to be, because I didn't make sure he took his pill last night, but I sure as hell didn't tell him not to take his pill. I didn't. In fact, I probably at some point in time told him it was a smart decision to just, if he's taking the pill, to just continue to take it. Because it's not like it's going to do any good not taking it one night or 2 nights. It's going to throw your body out of whack. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not going against anything because when it makes sense, all it's going to cause is more cognitive dissonance in him. So what I just kept on stressing to him was, not stressing, but what I mean by stressing was the point I kept on bringing up over and over when he kept on like trying to get me to go into certain things or whatever, was that, he realizes that he is able to argue and critically think with adults, with all these teachers, and argue with them and, call them out on their bullshit and, on everybody, so I'm, and I've been telling him this, but I got a little deeper into it and I was just like, dude, it would behoove you, Aiden, because what you're doing is you're putting yourself out there in all these places, and it's everywhere you're putting yourself is draining your energy. So you need to just focus on yourself, realize, look, dude, you can argue. You're able to argue and critically think past most of these adults, already. So just use that knowledge and just now harness your observational skills, harness your breathing, you're remaining calm in a situation. Because look, see, and this really hammers home the point that like physically we're slaves. I mean, they can do whatever they want. My son physically, that school can do whatever they want. They can manipulate his words. They can fuck with him emotionally because he's already stressed out. So they could really, if they wanted to, do a fucking number on that boy, pull him away from me, bring psychologists do all kinds of shit. Get him on more meds. I mean, all kinds of shit. He's the perfect kid for this kind of thing to happen. And that's what I'm saying. So by him putting himself out there, so I'm just like, I didn't go into all this with him. I'm just like, man, this is what's going on in my head. I'm like, dude, you are fucking exposing yourself big time. Like, so he's so extremely powerful and he recognizes it. And for him to just harness that power, I told him, and just now work on his breathing, work on calming himself, work on remaining calm, because this even goes into his wrestling, I told him when he wrestles another kid, that's as talented as he is and as skilled as he is, and it's a hard match, to really show an appreciation to that kid for giving his all in that match, because that kid is having to do the same thing he's doing, and that's how you get better, basically, right? Again, an abusive program, but it's a game that he's wrapped up in that is just it's just part of life for right now. And it's crazy, man. It's crazy, but you got to understand, like, if he goes out there, that's where the ego comes into play, even then. And again, we're going off a program, but even then, if he can realize that it's just about him working on himself and not about his opponent, you know what I mean? Just realizing and harnessing all those different ways of a human being being able to manipulate a wrestling move and a series of moves and, acting it out. So it's all programming. That's what I'm saying. It's all program. It's all knowledge. It's all crazy. But yes, man. So that takes a lot of effort. I mean, and he's been doing this since he was 5-6 years old. I think 5 or 6 years old, he started wrestling. He's 14. So, that and schooling and everything else he's involved in, man. This poor kid's wrapped up in so much shit. I mean, he's got his energy everywhere. So that's what I just kept telling him. Like, Aiden, just look, man, because he starts high school next year. He started a new school. Recognize it, man. Fucking just go ahead and pull into your shell and put your defenses up against this crazy world, because you're not going to change it. He's not going to, he's not going to be, I don't want my son to be the martyr, because martyrs are just come and go. Martyrs just get a little statue out front and people go, oh, remember that one that gave his whole life for nothing, for us to sit here and talk about him and us still be fucking living in abusive systems. You know what I mean? So no, I'd much rather my son not be a fucking martyr. I'd rather him realize his true potential and his soul and heal, and get off all these fucking programs. Because like right now, I mean, he starts high school next year and he's already planning on going, to Michigan State. You know what I mean? And it's just, that's what I'm trying to say, is what we bombard these kids. I mean, think about all this pressure. That's all I could think when I'm sitting there looking at it. And I just told him twice yesterday. I made sure he knew, Aiden, I'm not bombarding you with text messages. I'm not bombarding you with phone calls. I'm not bombarding you with nothing, man. And I haven't been. And I just reminded him that I'm not doing it because I've realized how fucking unbelievably packed his schedule and his life is, and overwhelmed. I mean, that's crazy, dude. That's nuts. It's child abuse across the board. If there was any kind of real true justice in this cocksucking country, I'd be able to take them straight to fucking court, pull that boy out of all that shit, put him out on the farm and homeschool him and get him away from all this horse shit. You know what I mean? That would be true justice for a human being, is realizing, wait a minute, everybody's pulling him in all these different directions and he's torn because of all these programs that he's been put on since he was 5-6 years old. And before that, because all he did, his brother was a wrestler. His older brother is 6 years older. So guess what he did? Since the day he was born, his older brother wrestled with him since the day he was born. You know what I mean? So that boy physically has to move in certain ways to be able to get these energies out, and do these things, these rituals, until he can figure out that they're programs. And me as a father who is the whole purpose for bringing him into this fucking shit show of a hellhole world, I cannot sit there. I'm sitting there and having to watch him get medically abused in all these ways, according to crimes against humanity. These are all crimes against humanity, but there's no law of humanity. There's a court of law of the land. It's marine law, it's admiralty law, this court system, this joke of a court system that's all about money. I swear to God, they get me locked up in that shit again, man. I'm not saying a word. I don't have anything to say to those cocksuckers. Why would I? Everything I say in there's playing their game. I don't even recognize them. I recognize nothing that they have to do, none of their authority. I don't recognize any of that shit. None of it. Because it's all abusive. It's all part of the abusive programming that's abusing my son right now. Why would I recognize any of it? And no, I'm not going and finding a magician or a lawyer, you might call them. I don't want to go find a magician that's going to work their magic spells in this magical little universe. Now, like I said, if I had a high-powered attorney that could just go down there, drop 50 grand on that bitch's ass and have my son move in with me and get rid of all that bullshit, you know? And I'd make sure that that lawyer would hook it up so that way he could still attend his wrestling until he realized that that was all programming and he was able to dig himself out of that hole. But yeah, man, you know, it's all about money. If I had the money and the influence, I'd be able to make it happen, but I don't. So my son's at where he's at, and I'm fine with that because there's nothing I can do with that, you know. So I have to be fine with that emotionally. Otherwise, I'd be freaking out right now. So that ties all back into my healing. That goes all, wow, that goes all back into my healing too. So, man, yeah, I'm getting ready. So me and my son did like a 5-mile hike yesterday. We spent like a little over 2 hours outside. It was nice. We got air. We got exercise. Moved around. My body was just slightly sore today. So I'm going on a little hike today. Just get fresh air. Just get outside. I'm being careful because I just want to be careful with my energy. Again, I don't know if I'm getting ready to head into another, onion healing layer of where it's going to take a toll on me and I'm pulling things out physically again. Because there is more of that. I can definitely tell, but man, just the clearing and the clearing I'm getting is amazing. Like, I feel like I went from like a 1 gig database to like a 20 gig database, if that I don't know gigs and trigs and all that shit, but whatever they are nowadays. But I feel like I quintupled, I multiplied by 20 my fucking space in my head, like, you know what I mean? So I'm getting clearance, I'm getting clarity, I'm putting things together. I feel like I got synapses firing. I really feel like I've definitely made a huge turn in my healing, man. So I'm keeping an eye on that. The testament of being able to control my emotions through this whole thing this weekend is amazing. And even right now, that fact that I'm getting ready to go back outside and go for another walk. So man, that's good, man. And I'll have to watch this and fill in, on the comments about where my son's at. But he's doing good. As far as I know, he's taking the pills. I don't even know. I didn't even ask him if he's taking the stupid fucking pills. I couldn't even care less anymore. It's all about his belief and his thought processes now. Because, if he gets worked up, whether he's taking the medicine or not, he's going to have another seizure. It's just going to happen. They're stress-induced seizures. I guarantee it. Because he's fighting battlefronts everywhere out there. And, he recognizes it. I think what I mentioned to him, and he was able, that's the thing, is that, so, we were able to get outside yesterday and just relax. He was able to get, just relax time. It was nothing but relax time. No stressful talking, no stressful going over things. A lot of outdoor stuff. Then a couple board games, a few board games. So we did about 1.5 hours of board games, 2.5 hours of outdoor stuff, an hour of eating and hanging out, and then just relaxing. Did we watch a movie? I don't think we put in a movie. I don't even think we put in a movie. Just hanging out, man. And, just enjoying each other's company. So, in that way, it is you control things in that manner, in the fact of not getting worked up, in the fact of just remaining in calm, remaining in control, and just taking it for what it is, and just realizing this is all just a fucking joke, and we're just doing the best we can until the day we die. And when we die, we're going to give our big fucking middle finger to all these cocksuckers on the way out. All of them. All the way up. All the way through the stratosphere. Past those cocksuckers. Past those light beams that stopped me and told me it wasn't my time in my near-death experience. Past all those motherfuckers. Past that so-called God that stood up and told me it wasn't my time. Like my son said, my son pointed out, he's like, man, he couldn't even tell you, hey, man, look, dude, you're suffering from CPTSD. You need to start healing. That was 20 years ago. No, my next 20 years of suffering was definitely necessary, and putting my kids through all this suffering was definitely necessary. It's a joke, guys. We're being held down in this slave realm.